Whoa! That was the first word that escaped Vanya's lips, half laugh, half disbelief, entirely unfiltered, when her name echoed across the ballroom, bouncing off crystal chandeliers and velvet-draped walls as if the universe itself wanted to make sure she heard it properly. She froze. For a second, just a second, the room blurred into a wash of gold and applause. The lights felt warmer, the air heavier, the moment bigger than anything she had ever rehearsed in her head during quiet nights scrolling through comments, wondering if any of it, was real. Vanya Petrova. Outstanding new cast member. Her hands flew to her face, not in a perfectly polished, award show-ready gesture, but in that raw, instinctive way people react when something impossible suddenly becomes real. No way, she whispered to herself, no actual way. But it was happening. The camera zoomed in, catching every flicker of emotion, the tears pooling, the smile breaking through, the disbelief still clinging stubbornly to her expression like it hadn't gotten the memo yet. Her castmates at the table erupted, cheering, hugging her, shaking her shoulders as if to physically confirm, yes, this is you, this is happening. Go, someone yelled. And that's when her body finally caught up with the moment. Vanya stood. The walk to the stage felt like stepping through a dream stitched together from 1,000 tiny moments, the first audition tape she almost didn't send, the late-night doubts, the awkward first day of filming, the vulnerability she never expected to share with millions of strangers. Each step echoed louder than it should have. Each heartbeat felt like it had its own microphone. She laughed nervously as she climbed the steps, nearly missing one before catching herself. Classic me, she muttered under her breath, shaking her head. The presenter handed her the award, a sleek, shimmering piece of glass and metal that somehow felt both delicate and impossibly heavy. Heavy with meaning. Heavy with everything it represented. Vanya stared at it for a moment, turning it slightly as the lights danced across its surface. Whoa, she said again, this time into the microphone. The room laughed softly, warmly. Because it wasn't rehearsed. It wasn't polished. It was real. I did not prepare for this, she admitted, gripping the podium like it might float away if she didn't hold on tight enough. Which is funny, because I prepare for everything. Like, everything. I literally have backup plans for my backup plans. More laughter. But this? She held up the award. This was not on any list. She paused, inhaling slowly, grounding herself. You know, when I first joined the show, I thought I understood what I was signing up for. Cameras, drama, maybe a little chaos. She smiled knowingly. Okay, a lot of chaos. The audience chuckled again. But I didn't realize how much of myself I would have to show. Not just the good parts, not just the confident, put-together moments. Her voice softened. But the messy parts, the insecure parts, the moments where I didn't know what I was doing or where I was going or whether I was making the biggest mistake of my life on international television. A ripple of recognition moved through the room. Because that honesty? It landed. There were nights, she continued, when I'd lie awake thinking, why did I say that? Why did I do that? Why did I think that was a good idea? She laughed at herself, shaking her head. And then the episode would air, and the world would have opinions. A knowing murmur spread across the audience. But here's the thing, she said, her tone shifting, firmer now, steadier, somewhere between all the noise, all the judgment, all the memes and comments. I found something I didn't expect. She placed a hand over her heart. I found myself. Silence. Not empty silence, but the kind that leans in, that listens. I realized that being perfect was never the goal, Vanya said, because perfect isn't real. Perfect doesn't fall in love in complicated ways. Perfect doesn't make mistakes on camera. Perfect doesn't grow. She smiled softly. But real? Real does all of that. Applause began, light at first, then building. And if sharing my real self, flaws, fears, awkward moments and all, helped even one person feel less alone, then every uncomfortable moment was worth it. The applause grew louder. Stronger. Vanya blinked rapidly, trying to keep her composure. Okay, I promised myself I wouldn't cry, she said, immediately tearing up, so that's going great. The audience laughed gently, giving her space to feel. I want to thank the people who believed in me before I believed in myself, she continued, the producers who saw something in that first audition tape, even though I was Let's be honest, a little chaotic. More laughter. My family, who probably watched the show like, she widened her eyes dramatically, we raised her better than this. The room erupted again. But still loved me anyway. She took a breath, steadying herself. And to everyone who watched, whether you supported me, questioned me, or yelled at your TV because of me, thank you. You were part of this journey. She looked down at the award again, almost as if seeing it for the first time. I still can't believe this, she whispered. Then she looked back up, her expression shifting, something stronger now, something grounded. But maybe this isn't just about me. The room quieted again. Maybe this is for anyone who's ever felt like they didn't quite fit into a perfect box, anyone who's been told they're too much or not enough or too emotional or too complicated. She shook her head. You're not too anything. Her voice lifted, filled with conviction. You're exactly who you're supposed to be. The applause came faster this time, louder, more immediate. Because that message? It hit deeper. Vanya smiled through her tears. So yeah. Whoa, she said again, laughing. And thank you for this incredible, unbelievable, completely unexpected honor. She held the award close, like it might disappear if she let go. I'm going to remember this moment forever. She stepped back from the microphone, then paused. Turned back. Oh, and one more thing, she added with a playful grin, to future new cast members. The audience leaned in. Buckle up. The room exploded with laughter and applause as she finally walked off stage. Backstage, the energy was different. Quieter. More intimate. But somehow just as overwhelming. Vanya leaned against the wall, exhaling deeply as if she'd been holding her breath for the last 10 minutes. Did that really just happen? She asked no one in particular. A producer nearby laughed. It did, and you nailed it. She shook her head, smiling. I don't even remember half of what I said. That's how you know it was good, someone else chimed in. She looked down at the award again, tracing its edges with her fingers. For a moment, the noise faded. No cameras. No audience. Just her. And the quiet realization that something had shifted. Not just externally, with recognition and applause and titles, but internally. She felt proud. Not because she had been perfect, but because she had been brave enough to be seen. Her phone buzzed. Then buzzed again. And again. Messages poured in, friends, family, castmates, even people she hadn't spoken to in years.